I look at a guy that kind of fits what Ben was. Like, maybe you give Mitch Trubisky another shot. Maybe you give one of these backups a shot and see what happens. If you can't swing for the fences and get one of these big names, obviously.
Right.
All right. So for me, I got like a list of 4, maybe 5 I would go. Because I don't know if they'll go the Russell Wilson route. And Aaron Rodgers has already said he wants to go west, not east. Although that money talks, BS walks, so we'll wait and see on that. But I've screamed from the Matt Ryan. If the Falcons decide to blow it up, I think Matt Ryan makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say this one because we don't know what's happening in other situations. But if the Dolphins decided they want to revisit Deshaun Watson, that means Tua is available.
Yep.
Why wouldn't they do that?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy G's going to be available.
Yeah.
More than likely. That's another one. I mean, you brought up, I'm trying to remember who you just said, Noah.
Trubisky.
I mean, if the Giants want out of Daniel Jones, you could do that too.
Yeah, take a shot, see what happens.
Take a shot on Daniel Jones. You'll have a hit Counting Crows song as your quarterback, but those are probably the guys, and also if someone falls to you in the draft, you could always draft again. But my thing is, I think the Steelers think with this defense they could still win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do not, because I think they're missing a couple of things. I mean, you have a dispute within the organization also with Mike Tomlin and Claypool, who wants music to be played at practice, and Mike Tomlin essentially saying, yeah, that's why he plays wide receiver. I'm the head coach. This is not a good look for a Steelers organization everyone has a ton of respect for.
Right. And it's sad to see it come to this, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll know more on the Steelers later in the year. They do play Baltimore today. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. Well, let's go next to realistically the guy who may have killed the whole Steelers franchise, and that's Antonio Brown, because, folks, he did it again.
God.
And he started singing the Britney Spears "Oops, He Did It Again" song. Antonio Brown and Bucs safety Mike Edwards have been suspended 3 games for fake vaccination cards. Now, it's being reported now that Brown now is fully vaccinated, but I don't want to dive into this because this dude strikes again.
This dude should be kicked out of the league. I'm done with him. Just please leave.
Well, listen, don't forget Bruce Arians said when they brought him in, if he screws up one time, they're cutting him.
There you go.
So Bruce Arians, put your money where your mouth is, and we'll actually see who runs things in Tampa, because there's only one person who probably doesn't want him cut, and his name is Tom Brady.
And he's the only one who counts.
Yep.
So, it is what it is. He's an idiot. He strikes again. Nothing more you can do about it.
It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the one everyone complains, oh, but Aaron Rodgers said the same thing. No, the Packers knew Aaron Rodgers wasn't vaccinated. He just didn't tell us he wasn't vaccinated.
Right.
Yeah.
This dude's belonging to his team.
Trust me, if Aaron Rodgers had done this, it would have been a whole different story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. He would have gotten the same suspension.
Yeah.
Oh, Antonio Brown, way to go, dude.
You're a legend in all the wrong ways.
But here's my question, and I want to ask this of you guys. He's suspended for 3 games. He's going to, according to Bruce Arians, he's missing the next 2 at least due to an ankle injury. Those games shouldn't count towards his suspension because he's not playing anyway.
Yes and no, because I guess, I mean, like what? It's hard to say because I get your point, Mike, but at the same time, it's like that's really unfair because then he's missing like think about guys in the future. It's like, oh, I got suspended, but now I'm hurt. It's like now I'm gonna like think if the suspension was 4 games and he's missing 10 due to an injury, you're missing basically the entire season.
No, but I think this is a different kind of circumstance, and that's why I'm saying it. He had already been ruled out for the next 2. It wasn't like it was, magically out of thin air after he got suspended.
Okay, I like I said, I get your point, but also I don't get it. It's a little.
I wish the league would specify more, but
yeah.
But Antonio Brown strikes again. Who plays him in the biopic? Because there's going to be an Antonio Brown biopic. You know it's coming.
Yeah, right.
Tiger Woods.
You know what? That was good.
That is really good.
Well, I always felt would be played by Tony the Tiger in a biopic, but that's a whole nother conversation also. All right. So last bit of news, and then we'll hop into today's game. Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey got hurt last week in the loss to the Dolphins. Talk about them in a few minutes. But Christian McCaffrey is now out for the season. I think it's an ankle injury, they've said. So McCaffrey out with an ankle injury for the rest of the season. A Panthers team that started the season with high hopes. Cue the Panic at the Disco song. Now, all of a sudden, they're without their starting quarterback, Sam Darnold, and they're all pro running back Christian McCaffrey, Mark.
Yep. It's, any team that's devastating to whether you're a top tier, low tier, or be underneath the gridiron tier level team, you're missing that 1 and 2. It's a big problem. But when you look at what we were thinking for Cam Newton, none of us had picked him returning to Carolina and being where he is. And then he has a little promising 5 minutes on the field where he runs one in and he throws one in. Okay. And then boom, he gets benched in his first actual game back. I mean, what does that say about what's happening in Carolina? Nothing's changed is how I view
it. Yeah, no. You had a really great point, Mark, is that with Carolina this year is you keep like changing your mind, really. And it's not fair to anybody, in my opinion. Like our friend Adam always says the same thing on Wishbone Shotgun. It's why did you replace Bridgewater in the first place? You signed the guy for 3 years. He played 1 for you, and then you immediately go and trade for Sam Darnold to then sign Newton to replace Darnold. It's like, make up your mind. Like, give someone a year. I mean, I understand Sam Darnold got hurt, but what was the point of trading for Bridgewater in the first place, or trading for Darnold in the first place, if Bridgewater was signed for 3 years? Bridgewater would have been great on the Panthers. I think the Panthers would be a playoff team right now if they had Bridgewater. I mean, you look at him in Denver, he's what he is. He's a solid, dependable QB. So, to look at Christian McCaffrey after the season, that's just how their season is gone. They just can't catch a freaking break, and they get another blow to them.
And once again, they're going to explore the quarterback market again this offseason because you know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's Watson, it could be Russell, it could be anyone. They're going to explore it in Carolina. But listen, I wonder this because there's a part of me that thinks you could do this. If Chuba Hubbard plays really well the last 4 games, is it 4 games? 5 games of the season. I wonder if that makes McCaffrey expendable.
I think it does.
They've said they're not going to listen. They've said they're not going to listen. But I wonder if a team out of nowhere just says, hey, we're going to give you, i.e., a quarterback-sized offer for Christian McCaffrey. I think they would take that.
Yeah.
And then you could turn those picks or whatever you're going to get into Russell Wilson. I don't think it'll be Rodgers, but Wilson for sure. Maybe someone else, but maybe Watson. They were rumored to be in there too. But interesting dilemma for the Panthers, who sit 5-7. They have the bye week this week, but their remaining schedule is the Falcons, the Bills, the Bucks, the Saints, the Bucks.
That is not easy.
That's not an easy up and down.
No, it's not. But speaking of the Saints, they played Thursday night. And boy, did they play Thursday night.
Oof.
Oh, Sean Payton, I love you. The Saints lost to the Dallas Cowboys by a score of 27-17. Dak, 26 of 42, 38, a touchdown pick. Tony Pollard had a long touchdown run. CeeDee Lamb had 80 yards. Defense had 4 picks on Taysom Hill, who had 264, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. Also had over 100 yards rushing. Again, there was no Alvin Kamara in this game. I'll let you guys go for a couple of minutes on the Cowboys getting the win.
All right. So I have to rant about a couple of things coming out of this game.
I ranted once.
This is I don't know about Mark, but as far as I'm concerned, this is the worst I've ever felt after a Cowboys win. Because this win, again, yeah, it's a win. A win's a win, and I totally understand that. But this was so ugly that it makes you not like the win is like really that much. And look, you can look at Dak, you can look at Zeke, you can look at Paul, you can look at anybody else you want. I'm looking at one guy, why this game was so ugly. Defense was fine. Obviously, they had 4 picks. Even on a guy like Taysom Hill, like 4 picks is impressive. Defense played fine. I'm looking at Kellen Moore. This was one of the worst played called games I've ever seen in my life. 2 things. One, Kellen Moore's biggest problem is that he abandons the run in a heartbeat. If the run doesn't work on the first drive, he's done with it. He's like, I'm done. Not running anymore. As you can see, Dak threw 40 times. Dak should not be throwing 40 times. No quarterback should be throwing 40 times. You look at last week, every quarterback that threw over 40 times lost. It's like no quarterback should be throwing over 40 times. That's too much. And more. My man, like when you are up by 10, you just got a pick, and it's less than 5 minutes left to go. Run the ball. Stop throwing it, giving the Saints the clock stopped because Dak threw an incompletion, and you had to punt the ball right back after taking 1 minute and 4 seconds off the clock. What is that? You can't. And here's the reason why I'm so worried about this. Because this was a New Orleans Saints team that didn't have Jameis Winston, didn't have Alvin Kamara, was missing their 2 tackles and all that. The Cowboys, if they pull this stuff against the Rams, the Packers, the Cardinals, the Niners,
the Saints, if they had a real quarterback,
right? And I'm trying to think of the last playoff team.
The Cardinals. Did you say the Cardinals?
It's like Cardinals, Packers, Rams, Bucks,
49ers,
and
Washington's in that last spot currently.
Yeah, okay, Washington though. But you pull that against those top 4 teams, guess what? You're not winning that game. That team's coming back. You give Stafford 4 minutes, you give Rodgers 4 minutes, you're done. You can't pull this crap against teams when you're in the playoffs because you got extremely lucky that the Saints were this beaten up to where they couldn't do anything, and you escaped with a 10-point victory. This play calling has to get better because, again, like I said, you can't pull this stuff against playoff teams. You're going to lose. You're going to be a one and done in the playoffs. So it was a win, but I'm not feeling good about it because Kellen Moore has to learn that the run has to eventually just work. Every time the Cowboys have rushed for over 150 yards rushing this year, they're 6-0. It's as simple as that. They have to run the ball well. But Kellen Moore will drop it so quickly that it becomes a problem. And so that's just my mini rant on him out of the way. He just needs to get his play calling right. It's sad that Dan Quinn basically has to go over to him after they get the 3rd pick and is like, don't you dare throw the ball. You run it and run the clock out, or at the very least make the Saints waste their timeouts. It's sad that he had to get told that.
Should be noted, Dan Quinn was the coach of the Cowboys on Thursday. Mike McCarthy missed the game due to COVID.
So
just wanted to throw that out there too.
But that's just so sad that he almost had to get told, like, hey, learn how to play call, buddy.
Also, stop with the stupid push passes. I hate them. Mark?
I think Noah said it very eloquently on his retort and recapture and rant of our Cowboy team. The thing I want to touch on about the Cowboys is Zeke Elliott is injured. He's hurt. Why they're not sitting him, I don't understand. And mind you, I am a big Zeke fan. Mike, I see you itching.
Yeah.
I see you itching. I'll get you.
No. This is about Zeke. So this is from Pro Football Talk. A quote from Cowboy owner Jerry Jones. Zeke Elliott is good to go. Will be full speed for the rest of the season.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can see he is limping as he's coming in and out of the huddle. He doesn't have that burst of speed, that strength. Let Pollard be 1, Zeke be 2. Pollard's getting you. I mean, this past weekend run 58 yards right up the sideline. I mean, beautiful run. Okay. The defense played very, very well. You can't ask for much more. Now that you got Lawrence, Gregory, all back. You now have your starting defense back. You have your starting offense back. There should be no reason why Dallas should not be able to walk what's the rest of the schedule is left and walk through it with straight out wins. Won't be easy either, as they do have to face Washington twice. They still got to face Philly and still got to face the Giants.
And
those are divisional
Arizona
matchups, and they can always go either way. So, Kellen Moore, needs to do some better play calling. But now that they got the whole first team back, I want to go back to day one where he just threw the ball and ran the ball as a balance.
So you brought up the schedule, and I'm pulling it up right now as we speak. That you're right. They have two meetings with Washington. The first one will be next week. They go to the Giants. They end the season at Philly. And in between those two Washington games and the Giants game, they play a team called the Arizona Cardinals, who are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. The Arizona Cardinals receive back both Hopkins and Murray today.
Oh, I don't want to be a Bears player or fan today. That's not going to be pretty. I want to echo something you said because, one, I think it's too important to have – you need Zeke for the playoffs. So even if he has to miss a week or 2 weeks, I'd rather have him healthy for the playoffs. Tony Pollard has played well enough to get the job done.
Absolutely.
Give him a chance. And that's kind of been my thing on with Jerry. And that he's always come out and said certain things at times where it's just like, why say it? We can see Zeke's not good to go. He's not 100%. Rest him a week. Rest him 2 weeks. To be honest with you, I don't think Washington has the capabilities of sweeping the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they're good enough.
No.
They're going to beat the Giants because the Giants aren't very good at this football thing. Philly, week 18 may not matter anyway, so you could sit Zeke that game anyway to get rest. The only game I'd be worried about is the Arizona game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And who knows, if Arizona has won the NFC West, that game may not matter to them at this point.
Well, here's what's interesting is that, as we sit here and we complain about the Cowboys, is that they are like one game out of clinching first round bye and home field advantage.
Well, that's where the Cardinal game comes into
right.
play.
And that's what I was getting to is that Cardinal game could become uber important if, let's say, the Cardinals slip up on one of these next couple games until week 15. That game could become really important.
You got other teams in there too. I wouldn't be. The Bucks are going to be in there also. They already own a head-to-head win over the Cowboys.
Right.
So the race. Remember, there's only one team who gets the bye, and that's the top seed. So that's important. I'm going to go to the Saints for a second because I was proven right on something Thursday night, and I don't want to hear while he threw for 260 and 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill is not your answer at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Not. Taysom Hill is too important as an offensive weapon for this team because they don't have anything else. You're relying on guys like Lil Jordan Humphrey. I mean, guy couldn't even be named Lil John Humphrey for crying out loud and just go, yeah, the whole time. No Kamara, which within itself is a big blow. The New Orleans Saints need to find a quarterback. I know Jameis got hurt, and I don't know if he'll be ready for the start of next year, but you got to bring someone in. Someone. I don't even care if you bring in Jimmy G. Yeah.
Please bring back Teddy Bridgewater. Please
give
him a shot.
If Denver were to get rid of him, sure.
Please. Like, he did so well for you guys 2 years ago, and he should have been the successor to Drew Brees. I feel so bad for that guy. I don't mean to like rant a little bit even more, but Teddy Bridgewater deserves a shot somewhere, like a true shot.
Yeah.
I mean, for him, it's all water under the bridge.
Oh, of course.
But I mean, they could make the play for Russell Wilson. They can make it work cap-wise. They can go get Jimmy G. I don't care. Sean Payton's too good of a coach and too good of a play caller to be stuck with nothing out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the Saints that scares you right now. And that's a problem. All right. Let's move forward. We're going to dive into today's games. Let's start with a really fun game in the AFC, which sees the 6-5 Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego taking on the 7-4 Cincinnati Bengals. We'll dive into the whole Burrow-Herbert thing in a little bit. But this should be a really fun game between these two teams.
100%. This is a QB duel for that. This will be a QB duel, I think, for the ages.
It's a nice offensive matchup on either side of the ball.
Yeah.
This is a very important game, though. Like, okay, here's the thing. Bengals have gotten their statement wins. Like, they had the Steelers victories, and they have the victory over the Ravens and all that stuff. I want to throw it to you guys. Los Angeles has struggled a little bit as of late. I think we all had them as a playoff team and all this sort of thing. Is this a must win for them?
Yes,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. This is a very pressure situation for the Chargers. I think this makes or breaks their season. Because if they lose and they lose a tiebreaker to the Bengals, that's not good, because that's now one team that for a fact you're not getting the tiebreaker over.
Yeah, but the AFC team being as close as they are into this playoff run, losing one game is a lot more than it means now than it ever did in week one. Mm-hmm. So this is now we're entering must-win territories when certain games come up.
And to your point on the standings, I mean, they have a tiebreaker. Currently, their best one's the Chief win, but they would only. If you look at the AFC, they don't have a tie. They'd have the tiebreaker against the Browns. And that's really, and Pittsburgh, who I don't think is a playoff team, but New England beat them. Baltimore, if they were to falter in the division, they'd have a tiebreaker. So you have to win some of these games against other teams. And last week you got beat by a Denver team that I don't think is special. But and this is not in any way, shape, or form all on Justin Herbert. The Chargers just have to be better as a whole. I love Keenan Allen, and he's great. Mike Williams got off to a great start this year, and then he's fallen off the face of the earth. Austin Eckler, keep playing that air guitar, dude. Keep playing it.
They match up with pretty much any offense you want to put them up against.
They should be doing more offensively, and the defense, it's pretty good. I like Bosa. I love the safeties in Adderley and Derwin James. It's just they're missing something. I don't know what the something is, but they're missing something.
And that's why the Chargers are sitting where they are. They should have won 2 other games.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're. Excuse me. I mean, you look at this. They put up 41 against the Steelers, and then they can only muster 13 against Denver.
And
like, they're really a Jekyll and Hyde kind of team. Like, what Charger team am I getting today? Am I getting a really good one, or am I getting the one who's not going to do anything?
I think for the Chargers, you said they're missing something. I think it's a true game breaker. They don't have a guy like that. Keenan Allen is just kind of like your.
Keenan Allen's a possession guy.
Right, and I think Mike Williams is too on and off to be that guy. And the problem with don't get me wrong, I love Eckler, but he's not a Derrick Henry level. He's not a even a Tony Pollard or a Zeke level. He's not that type of guy where he's gonna break open a game for you.
The thing I would have done, and you can call me nuts, is I would have put. I don't know if they did or not. They should have placed the call for Odell and see if he would have come there. I think that could have helped open up some things for them.
Hmm.
But this game's going to come down to couple of things. We're going to talk about Burrow Herbert later, but you got to stop Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon, who had I think his best game of the season last week against the Steelers. You got a Bengal team rolling. I love what the Bengals have done on the other side of the ball. You know, they lose Carl Lawson, who signed with the Jets, and then he tore his Achilles, unfortunately. But Trey Hendrickson's been a beast. Sam Hubbard's been a beast. This is a defense that's put it together.
Hendrickson might be like the best free agent signing of last year.
He's in that conversation.
Got like I think 8.5, 9 sacks this year.
Yeah, he's up there. You know, he's played well. Yeah, this is a team that's put it together. And then, you know, offensively, Higgins, Chase, Tyler Boyd, Uzama. There's a lot of weapons out there for the Bengals. So, all right, who do you guys like?
I like, it's funny enough to say this. I like Cincinnati 24-21.
I like Cincy too. I think they are on a roll. I think they had, after the Baltimore win, they had a little bit of a struggle. I think the Baltimore game just took a lot out of them, but I think they're back. The Steeler game kind of reinvigorated them, and I think they're going to keep it rolling here. I think they're going to give Baltimore a run for the division.
I'll talk about Baltimore in a little bit. I like Cincy too, and I actually like big. There's something about this that doesn't scream well for me about the Chargers, but I like Cincy. All right. Mark, you talked about this one a little bit before. Kyler Murray and D-Hop are back for the Cards as they travel to Chicago to play the Fighting Andy Daltons, because Andy Dalton gets the start once again. And he will be backed up today by Nick Foles, not Justin Fields, who's still out with a rib injury.
Correct. It's looking more and more that Justin Fields is going to be in that third string placement for the rest of the season now.
Smart. He had a few games, played decent, but if he's hurt, you gotta save him. He's your future. You can't throw him out there and get him hurt again or get him hurt more. So this game, I think you said it earlier, Mike. I feel bad for Bears fans because they're gonna be routed by the Cardinals today because Kyler Murray, D-Hop are back. It's not gonna be pretty.
I think James Conner's going to have a big game now that eyes are not going to be definitely situated on the box itself. They're going to have to cover receivers again. So James Conner could potentially have a big day.
And Kyler being back, I think he's going to return to form and he's going to put up big numbers also. This is look, I'm not saying this because I hate the guy. When Chicago loses this game 38-10 or something like that, it better be the last time I see Matt Nagy. I'm done with the whole Matt Nagy experience. It's just this team has too much talent to be this poor. They barely beat the lowly Lions on Thanksgiving last week. They have to figure this out. This defense is still very good. I like Fields. I love David Montgomery. You talked about Cal Moore running the ball more. Use David Montgomery more in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. You want to talk about underutilized.
Yeah.
The only thing that could save the Bears is that Cliff Kingsbury could be distracted by the Oklahoma job, but that looks like that's gonna be not be his. Brent Venables, Clemson DC's in Norman, wrapping that up. So that should be done. But I'm assuming we all like the Cardinals big.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'd say by at least 2 touchdowns.
All right. So that's an NFC. All right. Interconference. We're gonna go interconference showdown, and I'm just gonna start this one because I'm a total sucker and I bought in. Because Mike Glennon, how did Adam refer to him on Wishbone? He called him a bald-headed giraffe.
A ball-headed giraffe.
He leads the Giants into Miami to play the red hot Miami Dolphins, who've won 4 in a row. With a win and some help, the Dolphins could finish the day a half game out of that 7th spot, which is the last wild card spot. I'm a sucker, and I'm all in. This team is winning out. They're going to get that spot, and then they're going to probably lose to the Bills. But,
I mean, the Dolphins couldn't get
They're
hotter
back.
at a better
they're
time.
back. Look,
They are.
this is the team I wanted to see earlier in the year. And I don't know why it didn't click, but it's clicking now.
Now everybody's fully healthy.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And they're going to get more healthy today. Devontae Parker was activated off IR. So I think
So that's another helping
that's
hand.
big time. He could provide some help for Jalen Waddle, who's been nothing short of phenomenal.
Right. And he's going to have a very big day. I mean,
Oh,
I'm 10 receptions for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
and he'll waddle into the end zone again.
Yeah, he can waddle, backflip. I don't care any way he gets in there.
And I mean, like I gotta give props to Tua. He's given you, Mike, what you expect out of him. He's not this guy, I think, who can push the ball down the field, but when he's accurate, when he's on, he is one of the most accurate passers in our game.
Absolutely.
I mean, well, the trivia question I think I gave you guys on Wishbone, he's one of 4 quarterbacks with back-to-back 80+% completion percentage in 2 straight games, minimum 30 attempts. And the 3 other names were Kyler this year, who's playing at an MVP level. Peyton Manning, he wore something called a gold jacket, this summer. And Drew Brees, who will sure is be wearing one in a couple of years. I want to give credit to Tua because all of this comes off of the Deshaun Watson stuff, and he's handled everything like a pro. And I just wrote about this. I think it's been uploaded, so yeah. I don't know if he's solved everything, all the issues that they have with him, or if they're going to keep going for Deshaun Watson. But any team who gets Tua, you got a baller. The guy can play. He just needs a better offensive line because this one's brutal, and he needs weapons. What any quarterback needs. I'm going to flip it to the other side because I got to talk about the defense. And Jalen Phillips, their first-round pick out of the U, he's coming on. He's got 6.5 sacks in the year. 3 were last week against Carolina. Javon Holland, second-round pick out of Oregon, safety, playing like a stud. And Xavier Howard, welcome back, dude. You're finally earning your checks. Should have been Defensive Player of the Year last year. I'm not going to settle that argument. That's an argument for later. But you're playing to the level you need to play at. I'm all in. This team is going to win out. They're going to go 10-7 and get that last wild card spot. I'm all in. And if you lose but saying that, they're going to lose today to Mike Lennon, a.k.a. the bald-headed giraffe, as Adam called him.
Well, Yeah, here's the thing with Miami is that you couldn't have gotten hotter at a better time. So you got to keep
It's
it rolling.
Florida. It's always hot.
Right. But I mean, we had this team dead to rights when they were 1-5, 1-6,
Mhm.
I want to say. And then did this all start with their win over Baltimore?
Yes.
That's kind of the one that set it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just shows you how a season can turn around. You get one big win, and there you go. They took off. They started playing to their level. What we expected from Miami this year. I expected them to be the second best team in that division. And granted, even if they go 10-7, they are the third best team in that division because I did not expect this from the Patriots. But
We'll talk about them in a minute.
hey, if you go 10-7, you get a playoff spot. Like that's impressive.
Just to cut you off for a second, the first one was actually the win against the Texans, and then they beat Baltimore, then they beat the Jets, then they beat Carolina last week. But there's no reason they can't win out. They play the Giants today, they should win. They play the Jets next week, should win. Then they play the Saints on a Monday night. That's going to be hard, but that's a winnable game. Then they play the Titans in a Ryan Tannehill revenge game.
Ooh.
But if Tennessee had clinched by then, that game may not matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play New England, who once again may have clinched by then. That game may not matter. And they always play New England tough in Miami.
That'll be exciting into the season in that AFC East.
So you heard it here first. They're winning out, going 10-7. You heard it from me first, America. All right. So another game with wild card implications in both conferences has the Washington football team, who currently occupy the last spot in the NFC, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland, who are coming off a very nice Thanksgiving Day win also. So, I mean, I want to give credit to Washington and primarily Ron Rivera because I'd run through a wall for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
That team is, with Taylor Heineke right now, that team's in a playoff spot. But this should be an interesting game with the Raiders, who, again, I don't know what to expect from the Raiders on a week-to-week basis, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, here's the thing with the Raiders is that it's all depends on Derek Carr. If Carr gets going, they're almost unstoppable. I think Mark and I can attest to that last week.
Yeah.
Carr got rolling early and he's hard to stop. And they lose Henry Ruggs, earlier this season due to his stupidity. But then who steps up? Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow's become probably their best receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Renfrow is Wes Welker.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
He is.
He's Wes Welker with better hair.
And, so this all comes down to Derek Carr. Because if he gets going, he's hard to stop. And I want to give props to Taylor Heineke, too, because he has played for how many people, give him flack and stuff. He's played really well this season.
Listen, I don't think people would give him flack if you add an N to his last name. It's go Heineken. And people will always root for beer.
But, I mean, he's got a 68% completion percentage, 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 picks. Maybe the picks are a little concerning, but, a lot of them were happening in games where he was trying to just gunsling the ball and get back in games anyway. But look at his last 3 games. Big win versus Tampa, where he threw for 81% completion percentage, 256 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. 2 weeks ago at Carolina, he throws for 72% completion percentage, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And last week gets a big win over Seattle, 77% completion percentage, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Guys playing really well.
And you just said the last number. If you limit those turnovers, that defense, I know Chase Young is out for the year, and that sucks. That defense is still good enough to get them wins. And if they can run the ball with Gibson, Heineke can play well. Terry McLaurin might be the most underappreciated wide receiver in the league. He's that good. They just got Logan Thomas back. It's a good football team in Washington.
It is.
Now all they need is a name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are 2 quarterbacks that I think are very underappreciated. I think Heineke does have some real talent. I mean, people look at him early in the year and they thought, oh, he's bad, all this stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but his defense crumbled. Poor guy was trying to, get this team back into games and doesn't really have weapons around him. He's got McLaurin, which is nice, got Gibson, which is nice, but other than that, Logan Thomas has been out for almost the whole year.
Yeah.
And the other side, Derek Carr. Look, I'll say right now,
he's always been underappreciated.
He has been. I think when Carr's rolling, he creeps up into like the top 10 conversation.
Yeah, he's probably lurks right on the outside.
Yeah. And to me, it sucks because it feels like the Raiders have never bought into him because we had that whole thing with Gruden. For some reason, it felt like Gruden never bought into Carr. There was always rumors about him trading for somebody, or maybe there's stiff between Carr and Gruden. Now that that's over, hopefully he can just, relax and just really play his style.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. Who do you guys like in this game?
This is a really fun game. This is a really tight game. I'll give it to the Raiders.
I like to see the competition. I actually like to see the football team win this game because they've been stepping it up, but not by much. I'd say a field goal game.
I like the football team as well. Darren Waller's been ruled out for this game too for the Raiders. He got hurt last week, so no Waller means big run for a game. All right, we talked a lot about the Steelers earlier with Ben, but I don't think we should go. We cannot talk about Ravens Steelers because it's the best rivalry in football currently. And something I found out this morning, this is the 30th all-time meeting between Tomlin and Harbaugh. Tomlin leads 15-14.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Just absolutely down the middle. No one gets an edge.
This is a no-holds-barred street fight.
Oh,
and
it always is.
The Ravens are going to win this game, I think, by double digits.
Oh, yeah.
Lamar coming off the 4-pick game last week against Cleveland. I think Pittsburgh could keep it close for a half, but I don't like what I'm seeing out of Pittsburgh. So I like Baltimore, and I like Baltimore big.
Yeah, Baltimore big.
Okay.
All right. Then we're going to just end it with the two primetime games. We'll start with the battle in the AFC West tonight. Chris Collinsworth will tell you he loves everybody, but the Broncos play the Chiefs. First place in the AFC West is on the line. This is not a knock on Teddy Bridgewater. This is not a knock on Vic Fangio. I like the Chiefs big also.
I like the Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs big. I think the Broncos are better than people are.
See, I don't dislike the Broncos. I think they could keep it close for a half, but the Chiefs coming off the bye week and the way the Chiefs are going now, the Chiefs have found their groove. Their how Stella got her groove back. That is what the Chiefs are right now.
I kind of agree with Noah that you never know with this Broncos team, and this Broncos team can surprise you. I like Denver in this. Not again, not by much. 4 points.
Ooh.
I mean, it's crazy to think that once the Broncos traded Von Miller, that defense almost got better.
Mm-hmm.
They've got it's, and it's not knocking on Von Miller. It's like they're healthy and they're they don't have to. And this is again not knocking on Von Miller, but we could do certain things that Von couldn't do anymore. It's play as a team. It's not as an individual. And this kid, Patrick Surtain Jr.
Yeah.
the second. Oh boy.
He started off the year a little rough, but he's turned it on lately.
He's been good. He had a pick 6 last week on Herbert.
Yep.
I would assume you're going to match him up on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But
definitely explains where his draft spot was and how good he is. This
is gonna be a fun one too. And then we end it Monday Night Football. This is a fun game as well.
Oh my god, this is gonna be fun.
This is first place in the AFC East. The New England Patriots travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills, and I don't like them big. I just like them outright. Give me the Patriots. And
Give me the Patriots.
Josh Allen has not played great the past couple of weeks. He was good against the Saints, but he wasn't Josh Allen. There's something about Mac Jones. There's something about Bill Belichick. And there's something about the Patriots.
I think the big deciding factor in this game is going to be the ability to run the ball. That's been, I think, the Bills' Achilles heel the last couple of years. Is that
with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary,
they can't get neither one of them going. And as great as Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Dawson, as great as they are, I've said this more. Mike, how many times have I said this on the podcast? Nothing will kill an offense more than being one-dimensional.
And flip side that, New England runs the ball really well.
Yeah, and then Mac Jones could throw it over the top. So
and then Mac Jones. I wrote a piece on this a couple of weeks ago about Bill's spending spree and how he spent money on the right pieces. Hunter Henry hunts the end zone all the time. He's been great. Jonnu Smith's been great. Kendrick, born to run, has been great for him. And then they do other things like they brought back Kyle Van Noy, and that's been a pleasure. Matthew Judon, there is a case to be made that Matthew Judon is your defensive player of the year.
There's a case for Casey Jackson.
JC Jackson, sure.
Or JC Jackson.
And there is a case to be made, and you won't do it, voters, for this. You won't do it because you don't have the intestinal fortitude. There's a very good case that Bill Belichick is your 2021 NFL Coach of the Year. You won't do it. You won't do it. But I'm challenging you to do it, voters.
To swallow. It's right on there.
You won't do it, but you should. All right. All right. So usually we end the show by doing the 5. We're going to do something a little different. Mainly 1, time stuff, and 2, I really couldn't think of anything for 5. So I came up with a game of Would You Rather. And we're going to start Would You Rather with that Bengals Charger game. Okay. So if you guys are starting a franchise, would you rather have Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow?
This is the toughest question, I think, right now.
All right. Noah, I'm gonna let you answer first.
Okay. First of all, let me say I love both these guys. Both of them are absolutely amazing. Seeing what we've seen this year, I'm gonna say Joe Burrow. I think Herbert, Burrow has had some rough games, and I totally understand that. But I'm okay. This is not a huge concern, but I'm a little concerned that. Let me know if you guys see this too. I feel like Herbert gets in his head a little bit. He starts forcing things when they're not there. He starts trying to play hero ball and that sort of thing. I don't think Burrow really does that. He does it maybe once in a while, but Herbert's done it on a few occasions. The Patriot game, the Bronco game. There were a couple times where he kind of tried to play hero ball and it didn't work. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love Justin Herbert, but Joe Burrow, I think Burrow's special. I think Burrow has the potential to be, once this like crop of Russell Wilson, Ben, and Rodgers move out of the way, I think Burrow can be a top 5 quarterback in this league, especially with the weapons he's got. Oh, he's primed and ready. I mean, I watched almost every game during that season at LSU where he just lit everything on fire and watched it burn basically. This kid's got something. This kid's special.
When it comes down to these two QBs, again, as Noah said, I like them both. But I would, after watching Justin Herbert's first 2 years and his arm accuracy and his strength, I would go with Herbert over Burrow. And not to take anything away from what Burrow has accomplished. He has done very well on the field. I just like the way Justin Herbert sees the field better. I like the way he can see the check off quickly. He knows that he can scramble if he needs to, but he also knows that he's got enough targets on the field. And he displays by that by hitting more than 7 different targets a game. And that's showing how he spreads the ball around. He's got a triple threat lineup with Austin Eckler. You got Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. You can't ask for much more in the running and the receiving game. The defense needs to get a little bit more solid. They need to create some more opportunities, but I would go with Justin Herbert here.
I'm going to go Burrow, not by much. Herbert's got the better flow, but give me Burrow. The weapons, the one concerns the knee, but he's played so well off of the knee that I'm okay with it. And this is really close. You're probably talking 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the next 4 to 5 years, as Noah said, when Brady, Rodgers, those guys are out. But you're talking about 2 top 10s right now.
Oh yeah. You're talking about 2 guys. You're talking about 2 guys that go right up there with Mahomes and Watson and those guys.
Okay, so I'm going to use the following here. So I don't like my wording of the question, so I'll explain it. So we went with a would you rather. So I'm going to give you an organization, and you're going to tell me, we all think these teams are going to need something at quarterback. So we're going to look, if you're this organization, would you rather trade for, I use the word Jimmy Garoppolo, but we could go elsewhere on this, or draft a quarterback. So if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers, we kind of talked about this earlier, would you rather trade for a Jimmy G or draft a guy for your long-term success?
You're trading because they think they can win now. That defense is good enough to win now. You got Najee Harris, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, you got Claypool, you got Deontay Johnson. Yeah, they think they can win now. You can win now, so you need to get a quarterback in there that can just go now. You're trading for a Jimmy G or a Wilson or a Rodgers or a Trubisky or a something.
Well, Trubisky, I think, is a free agent, so they.
You could sign Trubisky if you really wanted to. Yeah, you're getting something now.
Totally agree with Noah on that.
Mm.
I don't think I could have said it any better.
I'm going to throw out one other name, and this is just, I have no idea if this guy's going to be available. Just go sign Baker Mayfield. And then they
Well-
really stick it to Cleveland.
Oh,
Well, we've talked
imagine.
about that as a possibility. Will Baker be able to return to Cleveland on a high note? That would be the ultimate FU right there.
It
Oh.
would be.
Eh.
Put on a Steelers
Listen.
uniform.
It may not help you on the field, but it'll win you points with the fan base.
Yeah, probably. But I feel bad for poor Baker Mayfield between shoulder, wrist, shoulder blade, and his knee. He's got a lot to recover from before coming into next year.
Oh, yeah. All right. So that's the Steelers. What if you are the Seattle Seahawks and you're 3-8 and I can't speak for everyone. I think it's the end of the Russell Wilson era.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So what do you go do if you're the Seahawks?
Go ahead.
I would draft early. I think you have with Geno Smith right now. Yes, he's not the best arm in football. Go draft your number one quarterback. Let Geno play the first few games. Get this kid warmed up, and then you give him targets like Metcalf and Lockett. Plus, you're going to have Chris Carson back next year. The defense has got to improve a little bit, and they have time to work on that. I don't say go for a name like Jimmy G. I say go draft.
Well, that was just the name I
Yeah.
threw out there. It could be anyone.
Yeah, you're drafting if you're Seattle, because you're trading Russell Wilson. You're getting rid of Pete Carroll. You're blowing this thing up. It's start from scratch with DK and Lockett. That's basically what this team is going to be. And so you need to get a quarterback in there that's going to be a long-term future that you can bring in. Not only a guy for the future, you got to bring in a guy that your coach likes. You got to hire a coach and then say, look, who do you want? Kind of like what Cardinals did with Kingsbury. I mean, no, we can't deny that success anymore. The success is bringing a guy in and saying, okay, get your quarterback. Who's going to fit your system? So that's what you got to do. You got to hire the right coach, and then you just got to sit him down and be like, listen, you've got the draft here. There are a lot of guys out there. Who do you want?
So I'm gonna cheat. I'm going with both. Because I think in the Russell Wilson trade, you're gonna trade for a guy who could play for next year. It's not gonna be Geno. And you're gonna draft a guy to learn. Argument's sake, the guy you're gonna trade for, I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but if the Giants decided to do it, you're gonna get Daniel Jones in the deal, and Daniel Jones is gonna be your quarterback for next year. And you draft someone to back him up, whether that's Matt Corral, the guy from Ole Miss, Sam Howell, North Carolina. I don't know how they're going to go about, but it's
Plenty
the
of
end of
choices right
Russell
now.
Wilson, huh?
Plenty of choices as of right now.
Or you just stick it out with Geno next year and you tank for Bryce Young, like other people would think. And I don't know what that does to your organization, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
All right. We talked about them early. The New Orleans Saints, and this has to be trade free agent.
Yeah.
And you go big. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. You guys said it about the Steelers. They can win now. The Saints can win now. The only thing that's really hurting them in that division is that Tom Brady guy. And I don't know if those guys want to compete against him twice a year.
They've had his number too. Don't forget, Saints have had Tom Brady's number.
Up until next week, they've had his number. And I say that because I don't care who the quarterback is. The Bucs are going to beat them in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but yeah, you're training.
It's big game hunting.
Oh yeah, you're getting a big name to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, party like it's Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
All right, those were the ones I wrote, but I kind of want to get a feel for a couple of others, like mainly Washington, because you talked highly of Heineke, but has he done enough to get the starters role, or do you think they look around here?
Over the
I
last
would-
3 weeks, I would think so, the way he played.
I would say this. I would not replace Heineke unless you're getting Aaron Rodgers
Or Russell Wilson?
or Russell Wilson.
All
If you're
right,
getting
fair
one of those
statement.
two, if you can get one of those two, go ahead. I would understand that. But if you're not getting one of those two, just let Heineke have another year.
And the other one I'll throw out there, because we kind of talked about before, the Browns.
Give Baker one more year. Let him get healthy. Give him one more weapon alongside Jarvis Landry and Njoku.
He needs 2
And
more weapons. He needs 2 fresh wide receivers.
yeah, fair. Just give him some weapons and let's see what he does. Get him healthy, get him some more weapons, and let's see what he does. Because I don't think it's time to pull the plug on Baker yet, but I'm not, excited for him, I guess, if that makes
We're
sense.
not giving it as much slack as we usually do.
Right.
Man, you're gonna be really sad when the Browns make that trade for Kirk Cousins, man.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Oh God, wow.
Or Matt Ryan. I'm gonna throw Matt Ryan
No.
out there.
Atlanta should trade Matt Ryan away and draft.
No, I don't want to hear it from you because I've been screaming it for the last 2.5 years.
You have been screwing it for the last 2.5 years.
And cue the Billy Madison meme or gif when he wins the spelling bee. I am the smartest man alive.
Mhm.
That's how I'll feel when Atlanta finally gets rid of Matt Ryan. That'll be a day to celebrate another time. Well, we thank you for tuning into this edition of SIN Sunday Sideline Report. For Mark Halper, Noah Tremblay, I'm Mike Rifke. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the football. Go to the website, check out our blogs at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com.